Knock, knock.
Who's there?
No, wait, I shouldn't start there, because when I was first learning how to prepare a humorous Toastmasters speech, the advice I received was, Malcolm, don't just get up there and start telling jokes. Don't even try and insert jokes into your speech. The key is, don't add humor, uncover it. Well, have you ever been given advice you knew was great, but had trouble following it? Contest chair, fellow Toastmasters, and anyone who's been given sound advice that was hard to follow. When I first heard about this contest, it was a very quick and easy decision for me. Absolutely not! I mean, a humorous speech contest where I have to plan to be funny? You and I have both heard it said that everyone's greatest fear is public speaking, even more than death. Yet, as Toastmasters, we gather each week to face that fear. We learn to embrace and eventually come to enjoy it. However, what I've noticed is another fear just takes its place, still greater than the fear of death. And that is the fear of participating in a humorous speech contest. Can you imagine? What if no one laughs? It's one thing to be spontaneously funny. You're hanging out with friends, you're telling stories, and you make a joke that everyone, including yourself, thinks is hilarious. But to come up with original material and present it to a group of strangers for 5 to 7 minutes and hope you get a laugh? No thanks. I'm certainly no comedian, so I will not be participating. And 2 weeks before the contest, Ellen Peltier, our organizer, announces that she's currently the only contestant and that unless others volunteer, the contest will have to be canceled. That's too bad, because I'm still a no. But have you ever had that feeling you just know you're the one that's going to end up doing it? Outwardly, I tried to deny my fate. It's not going to be me. Someone else is going to have to get up there. Take one for the team. I approached Ellen afterwards. I said, so theoretically, if one were going to do this, how would you develop a humorous speech? What kind of jokes are you going to tell? I only later reflected I'd just gone up to be my soon-to-be direct competitor and asked her for her strategy. Very kindly, she responded, Malcolm, it's not about being a comedian and telling jokes. It's not actually how she sounded, but I thought I'd have fun with it. The research I did suggested that you don't simply want to add humor, but you want to try and uncover it. She must have seen the blank look on my face, and she continued. You still use the same Toastmasters format of telling a story and making a point, but while doing so, you try and uncover the humor through characters, situations, and dialogue. And of course, be late. I drove home that night trying to think of all the stories through which I could uncover the humor. But I was at a loss. I mean, don't these stories have to be funny in the first place? Despite having just heard Ellen's expert advice to make sure I would be funny and not a flop, I was back to thinking of jokes. What jokes could I tell? And perhaps, how then could I cleverly string it together with dialogue to make it seem more like a speech? My new strategy was to think like a Toastmaster, think like a comedian, but deliver it like a Toastmaster. When I get home, even though I have no idea what I'll do, I have no content, and it's only 2 weeks away, I email Ellen with a, yes, I will be a part of the humorous speech contest. Oh, did I really just hit send? The pressure was on. I needed a speech, and one that would get some laughs. I started by writing out all the jokes I knew, which I quickly realized wasn't very many. So there I was, desperately digging through my memory bank of all the hilarious jokes I've ever said in my life. And after some deep, reflective, soul-searching, I had 4. Half of them aren't even funny. This is where I really began sweating. I realized I'm going to get up here, I'm going to last about 30 seconds. That's only slightly longer than I did in my first date in a bedroom. However, this time, if I get a laugh, I'll actually appreciate it. So let's see. I have my knock-knock joke, the one about a scientist, joke about a pet called Tiny, and finally, one about how to make a rubber duck sing, which I know what you're thinking. How do you make a rubber duck sing? It's easy. Just put it in the microwave until it's Bill Withers. There, I did it. I added a joke. And what was the advice? Don't add humor, uncover it. And there's the proof. When you add in a joke, it's forced. My rubber duck joke had nothing to do with anything else. Just forced it in. On my own advice, I should probably just skip the knock-knock joke altogether. I mean, could you imagine? I show up here at the area Toastmasters contest and I say, knock, knock, and you say, who's there? And I say, zoo. And, oh, sorry, I say zoo and you say, zoo who? And I say, zoo coming in to go poo? Yeah, wouldn't be good, would it? Another key point related to the strategy of how to develop a humorous speech is know your audience and only pick appropriate material. But some of you laughed, so I don't know. In closing, the advice I received was not simply to add humor by inserting jokes into your speech, but to use stories and trying to uncover it through characters, situations, and dialogue. However, sometimes the greatest advice is hard to follow. So my advice for you, when you develop your humorous speech, only choose appropriate content, don't add humor, uncover it, and finally, think like a comedian, but deliver it like a Toastmaster. Thank you.